Greetings fellow Whovians and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. In the UK there are some bank holidays coming up, and when I think of bank holidays I think of mini getaways, and when I think of mini getaways I think bank holiday traffic jams. So I thought, let's review Gridlock, originally broadcast on BBC One in April 2007. Just in case you don't know the plot, the 10th Doctor has taken Martha to the future, onto the planet New Earth, just like he did with Rose Tyler. Whoops, talk about rebound. Instead of going to the top levels like he did with Rose to the dizzying heights of the high life, he takes Martha to the slums of New Earth. Double whoops. Not long after their arrival, Martha is kidnapped and taken to the motorway, and now it's up to the Doctor to get her back, all the while a familiar face in Novice Haim is hunting for the Time Lord. Before I start this review proper, how young does David Tennant look in this episode? He looks so young, especially when he's got when it's pouring it down with rain and he's got the wet-haired look. Obviously he's grown old very gracefully. Still looks David Tennant that we're all very familiar with, but compared to this episode he looks incredibly young. Also, I want to say I really love the makeup for the cat people, Brannigan and Novice Haim. They look fantastic. Again, this was broadcast 16 years ago, and yeah, they look so good. Really good makeup. Definitely round of applause to the makeup artists for Doctor Who. On to the review proper now, and let's keep with the cats and talk about Brannigan, played by Ardell O'Halloran, who is most famous for being Dougal in Father Ted, as well as Thermo Man in My Hero. Do you remember that comedy sitcom? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, Ardell plays his character really charmingly, quite a sort of funny, off the cusp type of character, and yeah, just the perfect sort of person to be this type of character. And Brannigan is just a very charming character in himself, interacting with the Doctor and all the other commuters on the motorway. But one thing that I did find a bit of an odd piece of dialogue, and again, let me know about this in the comments, because it's very sort of something that I wouldn't really expect really from Russell T Davies when writing this dialogue. And again, let me know in the comments if there's anything that I might have missed and something you might have picked up on. But Brannigan talks to Alice and May, the two older women in the cars. They're all interacting with each other through the car radio systems and walkie-talkie systems, and he calls them sisters. And Alice, or Mary, says, now you know, oh sorry, May, sorry, says, now you know we're not sisters, we are married. And then he retorts by saying, oh, stop with that modern talk. Now, the character Brannigan kind of indicates that he's very much into his faith and possible New Earth religion, and always is the hopeful optimist. But I just found it really weird that he's sort of like, I don't know whether he's sort of like, because of his religious beliefs, that he's, not sort of believing that these two women are gay. I don't know. I just found it really sort of an very odd off the cusp line, which probably in another episode of Doctor Who, Russell T Davies would bring to the forefront and probably make more of a bigot character. But here it's kind of just like a throwaway line and keeping him all light and entertaining and charming. Let's talk about some of the topics that are on the forefront from this episode. And again, it was quite subtly done by Russell T Davies. But when I first remember watching this episode, I just found it as like a light-hearted, entertaining, fun little romp. But really, there is a lot of layers going on to this episode, and mainly for the social topics that this episode brings to the table. If you compare that to Orphan 55, they really sort of hammer that messages right in your face, where this is a lot more subtly done. Starting off with the selling of the mood patches by these crazed pharmacists. So they're selling happy, sad, forget. That's some really oh gosh, some dark, hard hitting stuff, really. You know, you're getting a patch to forget. And then we've also got the social topics of class going on here. You know, obviously, I said earlier, instead of the doctor taking Martha, who really, as a character, is probably a bit more intelligent in terms of her studying. She's not like a working class girl. I would say she's more of a middle class girl, woman, who's studying medicine. Um, and the doctor takes her to the slums. You know, it's very, very weird, that sort of social class dynamics. And also in the other characters in the cars stuck on the motorway, we've got some very different sort of backgrounds. So obviously you've got the kidnappers that Martha's stuck with. They're sort of like, you know, you would say they were sort of working class, and probably Brannigan and his family are also working class. And then you got like this gentleman that the doctor sort of invades his car in, very much an upper class. They've all got very different individualities, but all just stuck in this one endless motorway traffic that is going nowhere anytime soon. Just found it quite a fascinating commentary on whatever class or background that you're in, that you've came from. You know, if you're all in the same situation, it means nothing, you know, and you've all got to sort of band together. But there was just like, I like that we're all sort of stuck and they've been like this for years and they're all in the same sort of loop. But I like that they all had individualities in their own cars and automobiles. I mean, the cars themselves look exactly the same. So just just boring and monochrome and sort of just, you know, just no individuality, no personality whatsoever. But inside you've got a whole other world. So obviously these poor citizens of New Earth have been just going slowly round the motorway, just locked in. They can't go anywhere. Just the automatic systems doing what they do, you know, telling them what to do. And they will probably be there for the rest of their lives doing that if it wasn't for the doctor, our protagonist, asking questions. And yeah, absolutely, you've got to ask questions. You know, it's if you don't do that, then you know you are sort of doomed to fail. And you know, it's again very social sort of topics, especially sort of the more government ones. There were sort of, again in this episode, reasons behind why all that happens, but there was some very subtle social commentary of, you know, it is good to question things sometimes. You know, it's not everything's all for the best interests. So, you know, not to be a conspiracy theorist in any way, but yeah, it's good to ask questions and gain knowledge, because, you know, knowledge can be a powerful thing, but given to the wrong people can be a very dangerous weapon. I like that Russell T Davies managed to bring in a classic villain for this episode in the form of the Macra. We haven't seen the Macra since the second Doctor story, the Macra Terror, back in the 60s. And it's one of those villains that you just completely forget about, really. You know, you talk about your classic villains and monsters such as Daleks, Cybermen, Sontarans, the Master. And, you know, Russell T Davies straight away, you know, when Doctor Who was coming back in 2005, he straight away, you know, everyone was all asking when the Dalek's going to come. But already we had a classic villain ready and waiting for the episode Rose with the Autons. That was pretty cool that we had that. And then, yeah, again, he just slips in another classic villain or monsters in the Macra for this episode. Let's talk about the relationship between the Doctor and Martha. So this is the third episode of series 3, and yeah, it's a difficult one for me. I kind of get where Russell T was trying to go with this story arc of basically, you know, the Doctor clearly not getting over Rose and kind of bringing up, which we get a little bit more of in the next episode, Daleks in Manhattan. He's obviously clearly not over the Time War, and seeing the Daleks again, not only did obviously they wrecked his home planet of Gallifrey and his life, but they also obviously spoiled his life with the ending of Doomsday with Rose Tyler and never seeing her again in the parallel universe, parallel planet. So yeah, he's kind of being a bit show-offy with Martha, but not really taking her seriously at the same time. You know, it is kind of like a weird sort of emotional rebound going off, and poor Martha is having to deal with that. And there were some good moments here between the Doctor and Martha, you know, where the Doctor sort of like, you know, it clicks into place when Martha was kidnapped and like, oh my gosh, all I was doing was been showing off and I'm putting her in danger and I've done it again. And now I've got to sort this out. And with Martha asking the Doctor, you know, when they was traveling to the future, well, let's see your planet. And the Doctor's sort of like, no, you don't want to see that. It's dull, it's boring. Let's do something more fun. And Martha sort of bringing the Doctor out of his shell, out of his comfort zone, to talk about his loss of Gallifrey. You know, she basically, towards the end of this episode, sits down, has this chat with the Doctor, and the Doctor is describing Gallifrey in glorious detail, which one we never had as a viewer before. You know, all these imaginations of Gallifrey, or at least in modern Doctor Who. Obviously, we've seen the planet in classic Who, but having all these descriptions of this planet for modern Doctor Who was a nice little treat in itself. But also, he's telling this to Martha, which he never talked about to Rose during the TV series. So that was kind of a, you know, right, it's kind of like a compensation type of thing of like, you know, all right, you know, I've done this with you, but it is good that Martha had this moment to bring this out of the Doctor, something that he couldn't even talk to about with Rose. The overall sort of story arc of Martha pining for the Doctor and the Doctor sort of rebounding her and going on this rebound journey, it's not my thing. It just doesn't do it for me. Let me know in the comments below if it does, you know, if you thought this was a great story arc or not a good story arc. To me, it felt a bit like Rose 2.0. And I can kind of see where Russell T Davies was going with this, but I just don't think he stuck the landing on that one. I like seeing the return of the face of Bo. Again, that's some really good effects and makeups from the BBC's department, and being with Novice Hain, and obviously being the ultimate hero for New Earth in that horrible time for them, and again just talking about the virus that pretty much wiped out New Earth in 7 minutes. Bit scary. Could have easily happened here not too long ago. So thankfully that didn't happen. That wasn't the case. I also liked when the Doctor first saw Novice Hain that he hugged her and was like, "Oh no, get off! You're a bad person." I liked all that as well. So it's obviously not the last time it was the last time we saw the face of Bo in that form. But I liked the sort of the other more fun story arc of You Are Not Alone and what's to come for series 3. If you haven't checked out already, I've reviewed Utopia. Check that out. I'm going to give Gridlock a TARDIS rating of 7.5 out of 10. Again, I was just thinking I was just going to go into this watching a very light-hearted romp adventure, but I came away, you know, thinking, oh my gosh, this episode had a lot more going on. There was a lot more layers going on in this episode. So if you haven't watched it for a while, do check it out. It's on BBC iPlayer at the moment. Obviously, it's on DVDs and Blu-rays, and also I'm sure it's still on HBO Max in America. Let me know in the comments. I'm sure it's probably going to go into Disney Plus later in the year. But yeah, I do implore you to check this episode out, especially with all the sort of themes going on in this episode. It's very relevant to what's been going on 16 years later in our future, or our present, or is it the past? Yeah, you do need to check this out, because I think it's going to be one of those episodes that's going to be quite underrated, but is going to probably in years to come is going to be one of the most highly appreciated episodes from series 3. Series 3 as a whole really is quite a solid series for me. I remember watching it from the beginning back in 2007 and saying, wow, this is really gone up a notch from series 1 and 2, and series 3 just had hit after hit after hit. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts to Gridlock. What do you think of this episode and the social commentaries that I've mentioned, and also the character of Brannigan? Let me know all those in the comments. And where would you rank this episode throughout the other episodes in series 3? Would you say it's really good, really bad, or somewhere in between? Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Please like, share and subscribe. Hit the cloister bell for more notifications. Come say hello and follow me on Twitter at ReviewTimey. And do check out my other fantastic Doctor Who content on the Timey Wimey Review page on TikTok. And of course right here on the Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel. I've got some fantastic videos. Go check them out. And as the good doctor once said, if it's any consolation, right now I'm having kittens.